This is how we do it right here, y'all. Yeah, what? For the 2K1. First and foremost, giving honors and praises to the God of our lives. Yes, how we out home. This is how we do it. Shari is our car on the 2K1, y'all. Volume 3. Rocking it for Shema Yisrael. The whole Yisrael all over the world. This is how we do it. Bring it on, our car. What?
In my life, I felt the love of God was deep in me. It was deep in me, yeah. He was near, so very close to me. I did not see. But why should I turn away from him when he's my love? Oh, he took me from the ghetto and spoke to me from up above. Oh, yeah, I sold my soul for love. My love is only
Shalom,
God.
shalom.
Shine for you. I turned away from him. He chastised me. Chastised me. Oh, yeah. He said, look, here's our car. Won't you do what's right? And follow me. And things look good. And my life is fine, so why should I? He said the earth will be yours, and the fullness thereof shall be thine. Ooh, yeah. I sold my soul for love. My love is only God. It's only God. Woo. He is mine. Shine for you. I love you unconditionally. Can't you see? You're the savior of the world, but to me, you're my IV. Oh yeah, my soul is yours. My love is yours. Forever. I said with my heart, I will follow you forever. Ooh, yeah. I sold my soul for love. My love is only God. It's only God. Woo. He is mine. Yahovah, you are mine. My love and only
Shalom, shalom. We're going to get started soon enough. Thank you.
Love will only shine for you. I've been seen.
It's all about you. You let us know that we are Israelites. And I can see over and over how we molded and guided our life. Giving thanks to your hope. So we can never thank thee enough. I can believe that we are the struggle. I never knew that he loved us so much. Moshe was a great and mighty prophet. He set the standards for the prophet yet to come. A godly man and a strong and humble leader. His place and time can never be undone. Oh, give thanks to your.
I said it's all about you.
He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how He molded and guided our lives. Give thanks, thanks to your Lord, 'cause we can never thank Thee enough. I can believe that we got the sugar love. I never knew that He loved us so much. So we will praise you, Jehovah, 'cause there is none that is like unto Thee. So you're the one who made our lives bolder. You're the one who gave us life and the lasting legacy. And oh, give thanks, thanks to Jehovah. He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how He molded and guided our lives. Giving thanks to you, 'cause we can never thank Thee enough. I can believe that we got this children. I never knew that He loved us so
Shalom, shalom.
much.
Let's get started on the sound of
A
Israel.
great and mighty prophet, He set the standard for the prophet yet to come. A godly man, a strong humble leader, His place and time can never be undone. Oh, give thanks to your Lord. He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how He molded and guided our lives. I give thanks to your Lord, 'cause we can never thank Thee enough. I can believe that we are His children. I never knew that He loved us so much. So we will praise you, Jehovah, 'cause there is none that is like unto Thee. So you're the one who made our lives bolder. You're the one who gave us life and the lasting legacy. Oh,
I said it,
give
thanks.
thanks to your
I
Lord.
said it's all about you.
He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how He molded and guided our lives. Give thanks to your Lord, 'cause we can never thank Thee enough.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Israel, of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This presentation, brothers and sisters, is brought to you from Danitepublications. We hope, we pray that everybody is well and will be better. This is a part version. We had to redo it due to the static that was heard. So what I did, was I set my phone up so that way I can be able to, got to pause it and speaking so I can sit there and hear myself. In that particular case, hoping and praying everybody again as well, and hopefully will be better. Okay. All right. So, brothers and sisters, it may be due to the computer. I usually use my Lenovo computer as opposed to my HP. No disrespect to HP regarding doing a presentation. And something told me I was being a little stubborn and putting up the HP instead of going into the closet and have to dig into to get into Lenovo. But brothers and sisters, in this presentations, we ceased from using profanity. And that's something I'm going to sit there and keep on talking about. We wanted to raise the bar, if you will. We can sit there and still get our point across. If a person is bringing you to the point where you don't want to sit there and be, that means it's time to cut that person off. Solomon stated in the book of Proverbs, forsake the foolish and live and go in the way of understanding. Forsake the foolish, part 1, and live, part 2, and go in the way of understanding. So you may have to sit there and growth, sit there and cut off those that want to sit there and hinder your growth. And brothers and sisters, so be it. And if you are cut off due to being a hindrance to somebody's growth, that might be your growth for all you know. You understand? So never seem to want to take everything as it's one is against a matter or anything of that kind of sort. But let's all love and learn in this particular case. Brothers and sisters, in this particular matter, we are going to ask those who are able to hear and are in good spirits to please type in the number 4. We call this one here, brothers and sisters, rename and colonization. What do we mean by that? Throughout the course of time in history, brothers and sisters, people have renamed lands. From New Amsterdam, after it was a name before that. And what you will find, not trying to be funny, among Native Americans and the names that are in what we call the United States of today, there's a lot of renaming and a lot of names that are not renamed. For instance, there's a part called Miami. There was a tribe named Miami, brothers and sisters. There's a part called Alabama. There is a place called Alabama as there was a tribe, brothers and sisters. There's a place called Seneca. There was a tribe called the Seneca, brothers and sisters. All right. So looking at it, say in that particular case, these are things we care to bring out for reference purposes. All right. Now, we know that we are in the midst of what is referred to as quote unquote Black History Month. And we want to sit there and take respectful advantage of the fact that many of our people are taking heed and listening to what we have to say. What do we have to say as, quote, the House of Israel? When you go into your own time on the platform, Morian Shire History Lessons, there is a presentation that is a part 1, 2, and 3 called Black History for those interested, starring the Israelites. Black History, starting the Israelites, part 1, 2, and 3. All right. And that is, again, for those who are interested. In this particular video, if you already have the time, you can see in the description, there are links to what we're going to be talking about. You understand? So, brothers and sisters, without any further ado, and yes, there will be an intermission in this, let us pull up the PowerPoint and get into what we're talking about for reference purposes. Thank you for that, family. All right? All right, let's pull this up. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Giving honor to our Maker. Who is our Maker? Me, Osenu. Who is our Maker? The Most High, the one who sees all and is not seen. The one who judges all and is not judged is our Maker, brothers and sisters. Now we, the House of Israel, cannot frown upon renaming and colonization because it was called the land of Canaan in ancient times, and our ancestors renamed it the land of Yisrael. And there was colonization done in the book of Joshua and Judges in certain cases. You understand? The people that was in the land that became the capital of the land of Israel, Jerusalem, was known as the city of Yabus by the people called the Jebusites, brothers and sisters who lived there, who was of the house of the people of Canaan. So the original inhabitants of the land of Canaan, brothers and sisters, is what you would call people of color, if you will. In a presentation that is on the platform Mora Yeshaya History Lessons called From Jerusalem to the Hood, there are pictures that are showing the ancient Canaanites, the ancient Philistines, and so forth and so on. And we've already gone over the matter of ancient Egyptians and the matter of ancient Israel. So what are we talking about in this particular presentation is some of the things that has happened and transpired. Now, this is going to be a sensitive subject to some, but we want to bring this out, brothers and sisters, for reference purposes. Again, family, there is, and this is note to self, No profanity used upon this platform. Let's continue, family. Thank you. Subscribe. Now, who is this particular person we see right here? Brothers and sisters, this is a woman whose name is Adjoa Gzifa, Gzifa. Pardon me if I mispronounced it. We've all may have heard of, say, over 15 or so years ago, there was a young brother who was killed, murdered, we must say, by the police. And talking to police recently and over the course of some years regarding the matter of the Sean Bell matter, I have not met one cop that said that it was, quote, justified or that they understood it or anything of that kind of sort. Michael Oliver, who was one of the cops who participated in the murder of Sean Bell, from standing on top of the hood of the car, reloaded his gun. Brothers and sisters. And we who do know, brothers and sisters, the trial, they found them to be, quote unquote, not guilty or acquitted. And I hate the term, but it applies here. Or skin folk and kinfolk. This particular person here, Adjoa, even though you got your cultural hat on and appears to be locks and everything like that, she opposed to the street being named after Sean Bell, who was murdered in 2006 in Queens, and the cops were acquitted. She taught in your college, which for those who do know the area of Queens is not that far away from the murder of Sean Bell. And was the community board's 12 chairwoman. She was noted for saying that he did not meet the criteria to have a street named after him, and that maybe it would have been better if a scholarship was done. Brothers and sisters. Why not both is a question I have. Is it a reminder of what was done to a black man in the area of New York? Is it a reminder of what happened to a person, brothers and sisters, who his friends during the trial stated that when Mr. Bell saw the guns that he got scared, and that when they searched his car after his death, he had no gun on him. See, black people are not, quote unquote, upset if there's a shootout between black people and the police. But when you go and you harm, put to death, innocent people who are unarmed, that is called murder. And this is why we want to point out not just unarmed, but also innocent. Brothers and sisters. And this is, again, something that may be sensitive to some people, if we will. Because how does this apply to rename and colonization? Because after we as a people were renamed, we were colonized. Brothers and sisters. And we were told a new name. We were given, after we were enslaved, quote unquote liberty, but then being taxed without representation. So we are victims of taxation without representation. Again, this presentation, we will not use any profanity, but we have to understand, brothers and sisters, that for you to be a teacher in a college, a professor, if you will, for you to be a politician, if you will, and for you to be of color, if you will, and for you to be shown at least, quote unquote, representing the matter of any kind of pro-blackness or pan-Africanism or anything of that kind of sort, that's the problem. for you to sit there and say that a scholarship would have been better when there are streets throughout the United States that are named after Malcolm X. But the area, may Malcolm X rest in peace, where he was, correct me if I'm wrong, assassinated at the Audubon Ballroom is not named Malcolm X Boulevard. Maybe I stand to be corrected. But I know there's a Malcolm X Boulevard in Brooklyn. He wasn't assassinated in Brooklyn. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard throughout the length and breadth of the United States. He was assassinated in Tennessee. But there's a Martin Luther King Boulevard or avenue or street or lane or places named after him. Brothers and sisters, and say that particular case in different parts of the country. So what then was the criteria that a person had to meet in order to sit there and get a street, named after him or her? People would like to say, like the Officer Palladino, which article is inside the description of this, that the person may have had a criminal past. But brothers and sisters, so did Malcolm X. He had a criminal past. Brothers and sisters, so did Maya Angelou. She had a criminal past. So did, brothers and sisters, for what it is worth, Don King. He had a criminal past. So then we want to point out or ask, who then gives one the right for such? Unless we have been colonized to where we have now been stooped over and kissing the behind of other peoples to sit there and not make it seem so bad, you know? Let's sit there and kowtow and say what is expected to be said because we don't want to sit there and be, quote, troublemakers. You understand? So just want to point that out in that particular case. Brothers and sisters, let's continue. Rename and colonization. And when you see going across the screen, we call it and asking the Gulf of who? Let's continue in what we're talking about. Subscribe, we're asking you. This man is a comedian and had a show that was on television. Many found him to be funny, but we come to understand he was a racist. Like many Hispanics have spoken of, they taught and were taught to not marry black people. This man, George Lopez, some time ago, goes on a comedy matter, if we will, and sits there and says that, quote, us Latino people are strong, and doesn't sit there and hesitate to sit there and speak upon how they were taught to not, quote, marry black people. So who then were you taught to marry? See, I have a little princess. I do not want her to marry anyone that is not black. I cannot sit there and then look at the face of someone who's Caucasian and say that I teach my daughter that, but I hold you in the same esteem. No, I do not. And there's no disrespect. And brothers and sisters, as pointed out on the platform, say in the past, when they say a Caucasian male holds his little princess, he's not thinking of a black man 20, 30 years to be his son-in-law. He's not thinking of a black man 20, 30 years to be his son-in-law. So these are things, brothers and sisters, that we care to sit there and bring out for, say, reference purposes. Now, the link to this matter with George Lopez is too inside the description. See, what has happened in many cases and what is recently now coming out with the matter of renaming the Gulf, detaining people, deporting people. Now you begin to sit there and see a change in certain people's behavior toward other people. What am I saying very candidly? In researching this kind of matter, I saw a comment that somebody stated because people in Southern Florida who are from Cuba are being deported. And they're like, but we was for Trump. We don't understand. But he was not for you. You were used. And this is what somebody was saying inside of the quote unquote comments, if you will. See, when you sit there and teach your children to specifically don't marry black people, you have that right. You understand? But then you do not, at the same token, have the right to sit there and state you don't see color and we all one and the same and so forth and so on, because what you teach in your house is different than what you're trying to sit there and portray to the world. Stop lying. Stop portraying a fraud. Speak on how you truly feel. These are things we care to sit there. In order, if people are talking about all humanity should be one and we should all get along, then you got to sit there and stop lying about where your heart is at. We all as a people cannot be one as people if your heart is different, even if it's black, Hispanic, white. You cannot sit there and be one if you're living a lie. You cannot sit there and fake love. You cannot sit there and have undercover, if you will, hatred, and just sit there and be like, hey, mi hermano, we're not doing that game no more, brothers and sisters. You understand? Now, speaking as a brother who understands and acknowledges himself as, say, an Israelite, in the book that I wrote called Deuteronomy 28, History Untold to the Masses, I left the question open because that book is primarily talking about what you would call El Negro, El Moreno, the black man, if you will. So once it came down to the understanding of saying Latinos or Hispanics to Israel as well, I left that question open in the book. So that way we black people can sit there and talk about what we're saying. And those who are of Latino, Hispanic descent can sit there and say what they're saying and see where we match up at in saying that particular case. You understand? So these are things, brothers and sisters, that we care to point out. In his rant, in which he sat there and said that they were taught to not, quote, marry black people under the drop gate, or if you will, of we are a strong people, us, quote, Latino people, and so on. A black woman in the audience was offended and went back and forth with him, and he told her to, quote, get the you-know-what word out. That's why we're saying we're not dealing with profanity. You kick somebody out in that particular case. You understand? That is in your heart, Duke. You cannot, again, fake love. The fact that people paid for your ticket did not sit there and make you just subside how you truly felt. There's a rapper by the name of Nas, and there's another rapper by the name of Jay-Z. They did a song called Black Republicans. Now, they had a concert, brothers and sisters, and in that concert, if you will, right, when they said the curtain came up or so, 70% of the people in the audience was white. These people already knew the stance of Nas being, quote, the conscious rapper. You understand? But yet they went and supported him in that particular case. There is a rap group called the Wu-Tang Clan that has a song, and the chorus basically is saying, the world is yours, the seed and the black woman. That is part of their song. Brothers and sisters, I forgot the name of the song, pardon me. It's yours, the seed and the black woman. They're talking to black men regarding that in that particular case. Yet there's white people in the audience with Jay-Z and Nas. There's white people in the audience with Wu-Tang Clan. But now when there's black people in the audience with George Lopez, he sits there and tells them to get out. The paper or the green or the currency or the support cannot sit there and hide your true feelings, you piece of trash. See, before, say last year, I would have said a piece of something else, but we'd stop profanity on the platform if we will. All right? My friend wrote in Torah, Rita, Wu-Tang, Get Yours. That's the name of the song itself, brother or sister. I'm assuming brother. That's the name of the song itself that I just mentioned called It's Yours. See, I learned something. I knew the chorus of it, but thank you for typing that in. So there are a lot of white people that support that rap group, the Wu-Tang Clan, to where if they jump in the audience, they're carrying Method Man around or so forth and so on. And these are things, brothers and sisters. Yes, thank you for that. It's called It's Yours, the name of the song. Right? Thank you for that. So this particular guy cannot sit there and hide his true feelings because this is, like he said, he was brought up in it. I've met, quote, Hispanics who are from the Dominican Republic, females who sat there and said that their parents taught them, do not marry a black person. They are taught that, brothers and sisters. This is not to say 100% because I don't know 100%, but I do know of those who told me and heard it and did not deny it. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. That was not the case. It was like maybe they disagreed with it, but they definitely understood where one is coming from in that particular manner because they heard it whether it was taught directly or indirectly to them. You understand? So what am I saying about this guy and clown that we see right here, George Lopez? You have Nas and Jay-Z doing a song called Black Republicans. You have Wu-Tang Clan talking about the world is yours, the seed and the black woman, and they're talking about dealing with black women and black men, because one of the artists with Wu-Tang Clan, and we know who he was talking about, when he said, when I get around devils, you know what he's talking about. May ODB rest in peace. When he said, when he gets around devils, you know what he's talking about when he says that. And they still have support from people who are Caucasian. My point in that is, when being an entertainer and being an artist, they kept it professional, for the lack of a better term. This guy, and being a comedian, he could not hide those feelings. So he kicked the black woman out while the audience clapped for it. And the video of it and the link from TMZ is inside the description. So the colonization, brothers and sisters, goes deeper in even what you call quote unquote minorities. And we're not talking dark skin, light skin. We're talking about this is Spanish Harlem, that is Moreno Harlem or Black Harlem. When you came into Harlem, you separated yourself from the black people already there after the black people got there after going there and the Italians moved out of Harlem, for those who know history. You had originally, well, you really had the Lenape people who were the indigenous people of the land there, but we're talking about you had Irish, Jewish, and Italian in a place called Harlem, which is actually a Dutch word, by the way. When black people began to go in there, being pushed out of what we call Seneca Park, which is now called Central Park, brothers and sisters, for those who know the history, Hispanics began to come along later in that case there and said that their part will be called Spanish Harlem. So now when you try to come now, maybe not knowing the history of that, saying we are all one, then why would you call El Barrio what you call it if it was all one? Why would you sit there and separate it in that particular case? You have the right for that in your household. But you then cannot come at the same token and say, we're one, mi hermano. No, you got to sit there and check that, just like the black people, our people got to check between the West Indian and the Black American and the Black American and the West Indian, between the dark skin and the light skin among the Morenos, or the black men and women. There's still an issue sometimes between dark skin and light skin with black people. There is an issue between quote unquote West Indian and Black American. So even within quote unquote minorities, there is certain things that has to be checked. I remember sitting there and looking years ago for a room, for a space. The lady did not want, as she said when I was moving out, Black Americans. She was from Jamaica. Said, this is why I don't rent to Americans. Well, I say this in no disrespect, but the lady on the $500 bill in Kingston, Nani, the maroon lady, is not in the American currency I was giving you. See, if you felt that you didn't want quote unquote Black Americans, then you should have never accepted it. See, you can't fake love. Eventually, your truth will come out. You cannot sit there and show that, hey, we all, when you are not genuine. You are being what you call disingenuous. You understand? Stop lying to yourself. Stop being phony. Stop being fake. Because see, when you get exposed like this gentleman that we see here, and the description of it is inside the video, or inside the video in the description, there's the video talking about and exposes such. Now what do? Like I said, I've heard it said, brothers and sisters, about the separation in that particular case. Let's see how this ties into renaming and colonization. Thank you. This woman here was a council woman from Los Angeles, or for Los Angeles, should I say. She is of Hispanic descent, namely from Mexican immigrants. She was recorded as speaking against Black people, including children, and then she resigned her position. Her name, brothers and sisters, is Nuri Martinez, born in the 1970s, graduated college, and is recorded as calling other politicians' children who were Black little monkey. Was recorded as saying, don't deal with such and such because they, quote, F with the blacks. This is some couple of years ago, if you will. And when people went over to her house saying that she should not just resign, but have that whole thing terminated, she then last year or the year before was saying, oh, it's been so hard. It's been so difficult. No, what it was is your truth came out and you could not sit there and no longer hide it. You understand? So when you have a certain kind of power, brothers and sisters, and you sit there and misuse it and abuse it, that's not good. She called a person who was not at the age of 10 at that point, little monkey. So where did she get the concept of calling black children a monkey? Who taught her that that was even acceptable, even to call one such? Where did she get that concept from? You was born in the 1970s. Your parents were immigrants. You came from Mexico to the United States for a reason, obviously. I hope y'all wasn't going to some place looking for something worse than that, because I recently moved out into New Jersey. I find it to be a lot better than where I was living at. You want to advance, if you will. So if you come from immigrants from Mexico and you grow up graduating, become part of the council assembly and things of that kind of nature, and a politician, and actually had the heart, for what it is worth, to stand up against Trump at one point, brothers and sisters, say a year or so, 2 years ago. But then prior to that, as opposed to saying prior then to that, you had to sit there and step down because you was recorded for insulting black people, calling a monkey. Where did you learn that from? Who taught you to call a black child a monkey? Is that something the immigrants that you came out the womb and loins of taught you? Is that something that you learned in school from other people to sit there and call a certain person a certain term? When Roseanne Barr show was coming back on for, say, the second time, and she called a black woman a monkey, they canceled the show. See, it had repercussions because the staff that was working there and everything else, they had to sit there and find employment somewhere else. So people such as Roseanne Barr and Nuri Martinez, be careful of that. Everybody is not your friend. And as we pointed out in the beginning, and I did it on purpose, because I know, no disrespect, this kind of presentation, well, black people don't get along. That's why I showed the black woman first, even in the African garb, because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. O house of Israel. You understand? So let's remember that kind of matter in that particular case. All right? Let's continue, if we will. Asking you to subscribe. This is Ryan Garcia, known as a boxer, but he made horrible statements regarding George Floyd, may he rest in peace, and other black people. This caused the expulsion of him from the boxing world. The guy that you see there is only 26 years old. He was born in 1998, and this is no snap on people's ages, but I remember 1998. It was the year, may he rest in peace, that after the year that Biggie Small passed away in 97, and 1998 was the year after. I remember 1998. This gentleman was born after one of the greatest rappers to ever live passed away. So I'm going to timeline for a reason. When people want to sit there and say that Biggie Smalls is the illest meaning the best, they're now trying to pump Eminem as such, but we'll talk about that another time. But brothers and sisters, Where did this guy get the concept, being 26 years old now, to say 4 or 5 years ago, F George Floyd and Muslims, and you are a friend of Trump, as pointed out inside the link in the description of this video? See, everything we're talking about so far, I put as the link inside the video so you can check it out, the source yourself. Who taught this guy to even fix his mouth to talk about somebody who was murdered by the police? Who taught this guy to sit there and quote unquote take sides with a person saying that he supports Trump? But now the Gulf of the area where your parents, Miss Martinez and Mr. Garcia, come from is not even being named on Google after your country. So whose side were you on, and who's now going through certain things? With the people perhaps that you thought, we vote for him, everything be better. No. You find out it's not. When Democrats stated it, you didn't believe it. When Mike Pence stated it, who's also a Republican and not being racial, Mike Pence has white hair, white eyebrows, and white skin. And he was saying, I can't deal with Trump. You ignored even the Caucasian Republicans that were saying they not want to deal with that guy. And so now you up there saying, we're going to sue Google, the president of Mexico is saying. We're going to sue Google. Miss President of Mexico, I don't know you very well. You may want to sit there and check out the things we're going to talk about. You understand, in that particular case. This is Donald Trump. Amazingly, I can name, but I won't, 4 black women who essentially attempted to shove Trump and Trumpism down my throat. I've been talking about that ever so often, making comments on videos and everything. Not going to name the names or show the pictures. That's not even necessary. But I can name 4 black women who sat there after the man said that he could grab a woman by their vagina. We're going to keep the language clean. After he said he could shoot somebody on 5th Avenue and get away with it. Who is he shooting on 5th Avenue in his mind? When he said that there were good and bad people with the situation when somebody was killed in Virginia, in Charlottesville matter. He said there were good and bad people on both sides. And somebody was murdered, killed in that stampede, in that riot, if you will. How is there anybody good in that? How is there anybody not horrible who did what happened on January 6th, for those who do know? And you, a black woman with a black son, with a black brother, may have had a black father or currently have one, and this is what you'd send it to Morey Yeshaya. No, we not friends no more. We can't do that. You understand? I no longer speak with those type of women. He recently wanted to have Canada annexed and to have the Gulf of Mexico renamed the Gulf of America. So let's look at it. To the black women who I ever so often talk about, who wanted to shove, quote, Trump down somebody's throats. And he wants to get rid of the Department of Education. He wants to sit there and get rid of jobs. He wants to sit there, and they made a mistake getting rid of the people who sit there and protect the United States from a nuclear war and the effects of it. They terminated them, which means that the people don't have access to their employee number on the job and then had to try to sit there and rehire. You don't know what you're doing. This has been pointed out on MSNBC, brothers and sisters. So to the people who wanted to shove him down anybody's throat, I ask you, women, can he grab you by your vagina and get away with it? Do you turn down a black man if he said that he's, quote, feeling you? Because now we got to sit back and ask, just like the lady in the beginning when we spoke about this, whose team is one, quote, batting for? because he's not even, quote, Republican. He has a Republican vice president, Vance. We don't hear nothing about Vance recently. Everything is Elon Musk, Trump and Musk, whose child said to him, "You're not even the real president," running around in the Oval Office. This is the kind of folly that's going on now in the politics. Who taught Ryan Garcia, whom we spoke about earlier? Who taught Elon Musk's child that's not 10 years old to say that you're not even a real president? Who taught Nuri Martinez, who's a child of immigrants, to sit there and call the black child a monkey? Who's teaching these people these things? Who is your more, your teacher, or is your mora, your female teacher? What did Padre and Madre talk about in the living room? What did they tell you when you sit there talking about we voting for this guy? Who can only, not to sound misogynistic, can only defeat women because he lost to a man named Joe Biden. See, if he was going against a man, he probably would have felt he would have lost. Actually, when Joe Biden rescinded from being a nominee as a president and Kamala Harris came on board, he wanted Joe to come back because he was afraid of it. He was afraid of intelligence. And some brothers and sisters actually, quote, got on me on my case saying, "Oh, you're supporting that." And what she stands for? No, I don't support abortion. If you watch the channel, then you will know that I didn't support everything she was about. She's a politician. Of course, you didn't support everything that anyone says. But when you a man who sit there and says your daughter has a fine behind and you would date her, if I'm into voting, I'm not voting for that. So now people are online saying that people are complaining about the deeds that this guy has done and say, this is now February 19th, going into a month of him being in office, and the approval rating has gone down. Why? Because you didn't think that he was going to attack the farmers. When he came in the first term of his presidency and talked about helping the people with coal, C-O-A-L, and they're like, he didn't do that. And we're going to bring jobs back to America. What are you talking about? So now when you got China and Canada teaming up and doing business, you may have felt, Mr. Trump, that your country was more powerful than it was. You may have felt because maybe some black people stayed in America too long, they felt they are now the indigenous Americans, therefore everybody must kowtow. Like Omarosa said, which she had to take back her words, that the world will bow down to Donald Trump. Remember, Omarosa was saying those kind of things until they pulled her out the White House. And then all of a sudden, I heard him say the N-word, Miss Omarosa stated. And he's not racist, but he's racial. See, when you kiss the behind of anybody, they put feces on you. See how we can get the point across without being profane in speech, and we still know what we're talking about and where we're going with this? So those are some of the questions that I have. Who taught that to Ryan Garcia and Nuri Martinez? Who taught that? George Lopez answered it earlier. You was told that at home from the strong Hispanics and Latinos against the black people. So now that you sit there and see a person who, like Donald Trump, who was a support of David Duke, who ran for the presidency in the 1990s but was a KKK member, was Trump's friend. Trump stated that Andrew Jackson is his hero. Andrew Jackson was a slave master who had his own children from black women enslaved. But black women, four that I know, sat there and tried to shove him down my throat. Trump won, and Trump's a better person than Kamala, and Trump is a. Anybody who's trying to sit there and do that, miss me with that. Because you thought the price of eggs, which brings cholesterol, was going to be lower. But when you found out that the prices are higher, Now what do you do? You understand? What do you do now that you see that the prices have not changed, but have gone up? See, he lied to you. And then you black women try to sit there, who I'm talking about, try to bring a lie to the black man. Don't sit there and be under quote unquote massa such and such and then come back home to that. No, he's the serpent dealing with Eve, and then Eve is trying to give it to Adam. We're not doing that. We're not going to partake in that. So these are things, among other things, that we care to sit there and bring out. As stated, there's going to be an intermission, and we're going to do so right now. Thank you for that, family. Subscribe, please.
He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how He molded and guided our life. Give thanks to your home.
We're going to get started after this. Thank you, family.
I can believe that we got this chosen. I never knew that He loved us so much. Moshe was a great and mighty prophet. He set the standards for the prophet to come. A godly man, a strong and humble leader. His place and time can never be undone. Oh, give thanks to your. He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how He molded and guided our life. Give thanks to your home, 'cause we can never thank Thee enough. I can believe that we got this chosen. I never knew that He loved us so much.
Shalom, shalom, family. How's everybody doing? Again, we hope, we pray that everybody is well and will be better. In this, what we're going to talk about, Torah reader stated George Lopez has always been a closet racist. See, You can't fake love. You just can't. It's going to show. Let me give it in another example, if we will, about, quote, faking love, not being real about it. I remember in school, not going to name the people, we were in, the 8th grade, and the girls in the class were taking opportunistic times to just insult us as males. This person's shoes look busted. This person has a big head. This person is ugly. Didn't he wear that same thing yesterday? Again, we're 12, 13 years old. We are in the 8th grade, mostly 13. So you might expect that from juveniles. And us as males just sat there and took it. You understand? They decided to snap on one of the students. No, it wasn't me. Oh, they snapped on me, believe that. But what I'm about to say was not toward me. They sat there and said, such and such got big lips, which just go to show you the colonization that happened with us. Again, we're 13 years old. The girls were talking about a guy, or all of us guys, but singled one out and said, this guy got big lips. What wound up happening, brothers and sisters, in that particular case? A girl that was snapping on me, by the way, became very, very irate when the girls were snapping on the guy over his lip size. You understand? And everybody knew after that that sister was feeling that brother. All the girls that was snapping on all of us got quiet. And all the boys in the class, including myself, looked at the guy who was said to have the biggest lips in the class and just got insulted. And then everybody knew that they was, quote unquote, steady on the low. See, when they snapped on me, this girl that was seeing the guy, she participated on the snaps on your brother and friend, Moray Yeshaya. When they snapped on my friends, and the guy with the big lips was one of my friends, she stopped at that point like, you ain't dissing him. We ain't doing that right here. That's the spirit she came with. All the jokes stopped because, see, she could not sit there and hide the feelings that she had for the brother. And at that point, they just started going out. They sat next to each other in the cafeteria. They became known as boyfriend, girlfriend. Because, see, at that point, the cat was out the bag. She could not sit there and hide her feelings toward the brother with the big lips when they started snapping on the brother with the big lips. Her spirit, even at, say, in the 8th grade, like, nah, we not doing that. You understand? And he just sat there like, I got that. All the boys in the class, including myself, was like, yo, dude, yeah, it's like that. We were like, whoa, excuse us. And so I'm saying all of that to say that, like this thing here with this presentation we're talking about, Peace, BTV, thank you for joining on. What am I saying in light of that? You can't fake love. So as it was pointed out right here about this guy, George Lopez being, quote, a closet racist, the cat's out the bag. See, the sister, like the brother, I'm not going to mention their names. I don't even know. I have been in contact with them in over a decade. So I'm not going to mention their names out of respect regarding the school thing that happened in the 8th grade in 1993. But now we're in 2025. It still is a reality that you can't fake love. So it's out the bag, people. Stop it. You understand? Just know and understand, you played yourself. In the description of this video is the video by TMZ showing him telling the woman to get the quote such and such up out of it. And for those who just joined on, not being quote unquote racial or racist, quote unquote, Nas and Jay-Z, two black men doing a song like Black Republicans, when the curtain went up, there was 70% of the audience was white. Wu-Tang Clan doing a song talking about it's yours, the seed in the black woman, and met the man jumping into a crowd of white guys and they throwing him all over the place like that, like they do in the concerts. They kept it professional for entertainment purposes. George Lopez, as pointed out in the video that's inside the description, he couldn't have that maturity. Why? And we're going to show why, brothers and sisters. Here's why right here. Because you was taught that from your house. That's why. See, this chart that you see right here is a matter that they teach in Mexico about the African man or the Moreno or the black people being on the bottom of the pyramid there. Spaniards, born in Spain, the European, white man, if you will. Criollos, offspring of Spaniards born in the Americas. Mestizos, people of mixed European and indigenous ancestries. Mulattoes, people of mixed European and African ancestries. Zambos, people of mixed indigenous and African ancestries. Indigenous, phonetically of indigenous descent and Africans. So even though Africa is a continent, you got indigenous, Zambos, mulattoes, mestizos, and criollos all above that. Ain't that something? The top is the European in the chart that they push in the country of Mexico. So now when this European man called Trump, who comes from, correct me if I'm wrong, the line of the British, correct me if I'm wrong, is saying they want to rename the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. Look at where you still stand at, black man. See, because Trump in America and they over there have a commonality. Just as much as, no disrespect intended, not to sound harsh, KKK and Jewish don't get along. But their agreement is that they neither one sit there and quote side with the black man. Because see, KKK is more forth with it. Jewish people, when we as the house of Israel say shalom and they say good morning, he is not speaking Hebrew because they feel you are Cushi, which they refer to as the N-word. So they feel that you're beneath them, so they don't speak to black people in Hebrew. And I've experienced it over, I'm 44, God willing, I'll be 45 next month. I've experienced it for the first time when I was 18, when we was all out at a club. And I remember speaking Hebrew to Jewish guys or whatever like that. Anaknu omrim, anaknu am segula Elohim. That was in 1998, the same year that guy Ryan Garcia, the boxer who was known to be a racist, was born. So when this guy Ryan Garcia that we showed right here was shown, when he came out the womb, your brother and friend Maury Yeshai was already speaking Hebrew. Not to sound arrogant, belligerent, or self-centered. But Jewish people, 1998 and after that, did not speak back in Hebrew. And there's a reason why they don't talk to us back in Hebrew or Israel. Because they feel, one, that you're not worth it. They feel you are what they would like to translate as Cushi, meaning the N-word, when Cush does not mean that. That's why we say, Shalom, my Shalom Kim, I'm okay. I understand it, but I don't speak it. And that's another thing. My English is not that good. That song has been stopped since the deportation stuff. My English, not so good. Might stop it. You're lying. Stop the lying is what we're conveying. Stop the foolery. I cease from using profanity on this, but we know what we're saying. Stop the bull such and such. People, be 100 with what you about. Just like the sister was 100 in school in the 8th grade when they snapped on my friend with big lips and she shut them down like, you ain't dissing him. Everyone was like, oh. Kind of like the show Martin. For those who are familiar with it, it's not in the description though. When there's one of the scenes where Martin Lawrence is snapping on Pam, not knowing that Pam and Tommy became a couple, and he stepped to Martin like, I think you need to sit there and relax with the jokes. And everyone's like, up. That's what it was. because you can't hide that. Tommy, even in the show, Martin couldn't hide the feelings. We're talking about actors in this case, but he had to sit there and show how he felt toward Pam. I'm not talking about Chachina Arnold. That's the real person. I'm talking about, say, in the show, even with acting in that particular case, if you will. You understand? You can't fake love, family. You understand? You can't fake it. Just say you don't like Africa. Just say you don't like Black Americans. Just say you don't like West Indians. Just say you don't like such and such. Just be what it is. Because see, when you even look at this, Africans, at the bottom of this right here is at the bottom of this pyramid, if you will. So you have indigenous, which could be anyone, Zambos, mixture, mulattoes, mixture, mestizos, mixture, Criollos, also means the Spaniards born in the Americas. So you're still from Spain ethnically, but born in a different place. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different categories above the Moreno. And this is what you're taught. So when we go back over here into this gentleman here, and he's on TMZ sitting up there saying we are strong Latino people and we were taught to not marry Black people. Yeah, my Mexican friend, you was taught that because this is what they teach you in the chart. So now when they want to change the name of a such matter, and these people are in high-ranking matters like this lady here, Nuri Martinez, talking about a Black child as a Black monkey and bring that child here and I'll know how to deal with him. You just got exposed for how you truly felt. They didn't want to sit there and play on the matter of, oh, I've been going through a lot and the song is over. Miss Martinez, the song is over, Mr. Garcia. The song is over, Fat Joe. You sat up there and called a whole group of people coming together. Don't broke N-words. We're not using profanity on this platform no more. That's what you call them? Fundamental Black Americans? You call them broke N-words. Are you serious? So when you got booed in Chicago, that day is over. You understand? Trying to act like it's like it is, you got to change that because you can't keep on going the same way and expect it. Just the same with, quote, Black Americans and Black West Indians. You cannot sit there, bust the rhymes, and say Black Americans don't have any culture and then still want us to listen to your songs with the same energy. My brother Busta Rhymes from Jamaica saying Black Americans have no culture. You can't sit there and say that and then still want us to respect you from when you was with the leaders of the leaders of the new school, when you was up there with Phife Dawg and Q-Tip going over the song called Scenario, and you the last one on it because your rhymes are tight. And to the Black people who don't understand Black History Month, sidebar, if we will, Mr. Morgan Freeman, not to sit there and shame you. Oh, we should have all history, not just Black history. Mr. Freeman, you played in the movie Glory that was aired before Mr. Ryan Garcia was even born. You played a part of a man that was living before anybody listening to this on the earth now was born. The only one, and I say this not trying to sound disrespectful, I mean no offense to our maker, the only one who was alive when the part that Morgan Freeman was playing is the Most High listening to this now. And this is why, brother, stop using profanity, because I want the Most High to be in the spirit of such in doing a presentation. The lips of the wise know what's acceptable. So, Mr. Freeman, when you up there saying there may be no need for Black History Month, but when you as a Black man in your history, not that anybody is perfect, you divorced a woman and then dated her granddaughter. Mr. Freeman, look it up. Morgan Freeman, who was saying we may not need a, quote, Black History Month, divorced a woman and then dated her granddaughter. So Mr. Freeman, Mr. Morgan Freeman, your history with Black people saying we may not need Black History Month is not the nicest. We may see why you may say we may not need Black History Month, Because your history of black people, after you was in Glory, a very passionate movie, a good acting movie, very well put together for those who did watch Glory, the movie. You played a black man in history. Didn't turn around and say, we may not need Black History Month. You played a part in it. And in it, using their real names, Morgan Freeman told Denzel Washington off. The person that Denzel Washington was playing in the movie Glory got his behind served to him by the character Morgan Freeman was playing, if you watch the movie. So not only did you play a black historical figure in the movie Glory, then turn around and said, we don't need maybe a Black History Month. You was a good actor and you stood your ground in the movie. But now you're saying what you're saying with that. That's ridiculous. You understand? So these are things, brothers and sisters, that we care to sit there and bring out for reference purposes. So when he wants to change the name of the water next to your land, and you begin to sit there and see things happening, because you're right north of Guatemala, and as the United States don't respect Mexicans coming in, people in Mexico don't respect people from Guatemala going to Mexico. Check it out. See, you can't treat a people a certain way and never expect anything to come back. When, brothers and sisters, for those who do know, I was a former thief as a child. And when something of mine, which really wasn't mine, is something that I stole, I wind up missing, I had to sit back and think about how you got it. Don't sit there and weep now, man, my things. You stole that, young man, child, the brother speaking presently, from somebody else. So how you got it is how it was taken from you. But how do you have a whole continental people under 5 different made-up Criollos, Mestizos, Mulattoes, Sambos, Indigenous? How do you have the black man on the bottom of that and then sit there and say it's all the good? You got to sit there and change that. Black Americans got to sit there and change from the whole dark skin, light skin thing. When Obama, and I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan or one's worst enemy, when Obama and Michelle Obama was in office and he won the presidency, you know, you had morenas, sisters, hermanas, akyot in Hebrew, sisters, saying Obama got a real sister, not no yellow. We're not keeping profanity on the platform. Sisters, black women, African-American women, for the lack of a better term, was saying Obama got a real sister, not no yellow, you know what. So we got issues as people all over the earth. What we want to address here is bringing out the foolery and the lie. Stop lying. You understand? Let's continue, family. She's trash. See, in the other parts, I was saying subscribe to the channel. When I was putting the PowerPoint together, I couldn't even say subscribe next to this fool, even though I'm asking people to subscribe to the channel. This woman here, now dead, is Carolyn Bryant. In 1955, which was the year before my dad, may my dad rest in peace, was born. In 1955, she, aged 21, lied on a black child named Emmett Till. There were 2 white men later cleared of charges by an all-white jury who murdered Till. His mother, Mammy Till, correct me if I'm saying her name incorrectly or her title incorrectly, may she rest in peace, she lifted up the casket at his funeral so everybody can sit there and see this is what they did to my son. Oh, why would you show that? Because just like this chart here, you didn't expect somebody to sit there and bring it out. You didn't expect somebody to sit there and have the courage to be like, I'm going to expose you. You understand? You thought everything would just sit there and be oh so sweet. And so before this fool died, she confessed that she made it up. So she, like the woman in Rosewood, made it up. Rosewood was in the 1920s. Carolyn Bryant, at age 21 in 1955. I asked, like I asked about George Lopez and Nuri Martinez earlier, who taught you that? You understand? If you take 1955, 20 years before that is 1935. So say, depending upon the month of one's birth, she's born in 1934, 1933, somewhere in the 1930s. Who taught Carolyn Bryant to sit there and lie like that? I have a book called Without Sanctuary, and it shows different pictures of the lynchings that happened. Who taught those little children with the postcard to sit up there and point and say, that's the Negro? Brothers and sisters, for what it is worth, and I'm not trying to be funny or stir controversy. What's going on here? Coons, they want to go to school with us. Oh, we had raccoons. Mama just hit them with the broom and they just went away. Not raccoons, you idiot. N-words. Forrest Gump did not ask, what is a N? Forrest Gump's mother, who played the harlot for her son to go to a certain school, if you know the movie. Forrest Gump, who, not trying to sound sexual on the platform, when Jenny asked him, have you ever been with the girl, Forrest? And he's like, oh, those are breasts. Oh. The natural thing that a boy and a man is into with a female, Forrest was like, I don't know. But he knew what an N-word was. Not raccoons, you idiot, N-words. And they want to go to school with us. And Forrest Gump said, they do? Remember that scene? He did not ask, what is an N-word? Who is teaching dumb Forrest Gump? Who is teaching Ryan Garcia? Who is teaching Nuri Martinez? And who taught Carolyn Bryant that? Because I teach my princess. Not that I had any doubt about it. You're going to be with a boy and a man. There is no, you bi-curious. Not my child. No, 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 no. The House of Don don't do that. The guy that you like is going to be a person that looks similar like unto you. I taught my little princess that. So I'm asking people, who taught Carolyn Bryant, Ryan Garcia, Nuri Martinez, and George Lopez the stuff that they expressed? Mama, Papa. Let's be 100 about it. Just like citing the show Martin. Would you date somebody that's of a different race if you were stranded on an island, if you remember that episode? And Tommy said, I don't know. I was told that she can't use a comb. Don't bring her home. Somebody taught Tommy that. Like I personally was taught that. We just work together. We do business and so forth. And I state, brothers and sisters, with no biting of tongue or cheek, when he holds his little meatball, as they call it, among, say, the Italians, his little meatball, his daughter, someone like unto me or any other brother is not expected to be his son-in-law in his mind 20 or 30 years later. And they still go to the Wu-Tang concert. And they still heard ODB said, when I get around devils. And they still heard Nas's first album, get these damn chains off of me. They still heard Lauryn Hill and support hip-hop. Here we was like Europeans, fake nails done by Koreans. Remember that line Lauryn Hill said? And they still support her because they still dealing in entertainment. They still so say a song. But some people can't get past being entertained or entertaining. And that is what we're calling out here. Ja Rule the Damager, a rapper, and Lauryn Hill had words, and this is online. Lauryn Hill stated concerning Caucasians that they will, quote, protect you and they will be there for you. And Ja Rule the Damager was like, nah, they cannot be reformed. That's not going to be acceptable or happening. And they had words about it. Remember that song? That thing? Now, I remember. It's yours. The brother Torah Rita put it in. But I remember that song, that thing. Here we use like Europeans, fake nails done by Koreans. And you best believe Lauryn Hill has a good following of Europeans and Koreans who love her music. But once it came not to be redundant with George Lopez, when he put the black women out as TMZ inside the description and the link shows, he couldn't have the maturity that Lauryn Hill had. He didn't have the maturity or the heart to support, to go to a concert and just see people for people while they try to say people should not see people for being anything other than people. You're playing yourself. You're lying to yourself, and you need to stop it. Because see, Carolyn Bryant, who's now dead, and the jury that found those two guys innocent or acquitted them of the charges, and Mamie Till and Emmett Till, they're all deceased. Who knows what's going on the other side? You understand? So let's move on to the next part. He's done. Remember this guy here? This is a murderer of 9 black people who now sits on death row. He entered a church and murdered 9 people and was apprehended in North Carolina. He was 21 at the time. This guy's name here is Dylan Roof. The cops apprehended him, and then they sat down and ate, and then they took him into custody. Did you know that they sat down and had a burger and ate food with him before they took him into custody? Yeah, they sat down at Burger King and then took him in custody. What he did was done in South Carolina. And then he was apprehended in North Carolina. The welcoming people welcomed him in. They all sat down and ate. No, pardon me. They all sat down in prayer. I stand corrected. He took out his gun, and then he shot people and said to one person, I'm going to leave you alive so you can sit there and see this. So here's my question. Let me ask the house of Yisrael in Hebrew. Mi limeid et Dylan Roof. La asot et hadbarim asher hu asa. Who taught Dylan Roof to do the things in which he did? Mi limeid et Ryan Garcia. Le more eta milim asher hu amor. Who taught Ryan Garcia to say the words in which he said? Mealy made et Carolyn Bryant. Le more eta mirma. Le grom mot emitil. Who taught Karen Bryant to speak deceit, which caused the death of Emmett Till? Who taught her that at age 21 in 1955? And this guy, Dylan Roof, did what he did in 2015 at the age of 21. Do you see a pattern? You see a pattern between Carolyn Bryant, what she did at 21, and this guy, and what he did at age 21? Who taught them that? Because, see, we showed, George Lopez said he was taught that in his house. We are strong Latino people, and we don't marry black people. I heard Hispanics speak upon that. I've heard Dominican women tell me that their mother and father and grandparents taught them to not marry a black man. And you got that right. But don't sit there with that right and then turn around and be like, they think I'm morena, but I'm not. Ma'am, you use a pick. You are a black woman. Which you are not is a, quote, African-American sister, but we have been expanded and colonized. So until you get that out, Shaban, until Jamaicans and Haitians start thinking black Americans don't know spicy food, until so-called, not to be disrespectful, Hispanic women are telling black men that their vagina is better than that of a black woman's, how would you know that? Ask black men what we've been hearing. That your private parts are better than that of a sister or a morena. How would you know that? You are female. So how would you be able to judge the quality, quote unquote, no disrespect to females is saying it like that, of one's private parts? You don't have the opposite part to, quote, take it. So unless you want some pata, some lesbian stuff, or Quedesha stuff, that's the only way you're going to know. But that has been stated. in the catty world of the female gender between quote unquote Hispanic women against black women have sat there and told black men that their vagina is better than that of a black woman's. Believe that. They have stated it. See, we want to bring all this out just as much as we sit there and talk about, quote, the white man and quote, the black man who sit there and bring the other party as well. And let's sit there and bring it all out if we will. Don't sit there and be like, I don't know. My English not that good. Stop it. You understand? Because the way black people are treated in many cases in Latin countries is not nice. Just like the way the so-called Falashas are treated in Israel by the European Jews is not nice. Just like when some black people repatriate to Africa, they are not treated nice. So stop lying about the treatment that you're doing with people. Let's continue, family. Say word. This guy here, now in jail after affecting over 100 black women with HIV. This happened in the South. His name is Jason Pope, known as DJ Kid. This guy here slept with minor black girls that are, quote, underage. Girls that are underage, not even, quote, underage, but are underage. And I tried to sit there and not show the sister's picture, who he burnt with the monster. Over 100 sisters. Look it up with the monster. And then turn around and the media says the highest percentage of people with AIDS is the black woman. Who you think is getting that to her? The down low black man and the sisters that swirl with that. We want to point this out. When I say down low black man, it was like he's portraying that straight, dealing with another dude, catches the monster, and then brings it back home to his lady. That has sadly been happening. Homosexuality has never worked. It's brought nothing but problems. Isabel and Ferdinand, the grandparents of Charles V of Spain, knew they got to get the Moors out in order for their kingdom to flourish. And that's what they did. So the Moors were expelled in 1492. And by 1591, after bringing down, along with the Arabs, the Songhai Empire decided to participate in the Atlantic slave trade. So we want to bring this out, family, for edification purposes, if we will. These are, not trying to sound arrogant, harsh, or offensive, or disrespectful, facts. Look it up. This is not meant to offend, disrespect, cause anger, nor was it any cooning on my part. When I say cooning, like kowtowing, don't want to say you all are bad, we're bad too. No, I pointed this out going all the way to the beginning. This is the lady, or skinfolk and kinfolk with your African crown, if you want to call it that. I don't know who, not trying to snap on your picture with the laser pointer. I don't know who's on the top right of that, but maybe that's your house or office or whatever. That's your decision. But I don't know who that is on the top there with that part. All right. Right under the Danite logo, above the hat. Who's that dude on the thing? Anyway, that's your business. She opposed having the street named after Sean Bell. See, I started with this picture first before people be like, he's a racist and he just hates and he doesn't have nothing better to do but talk. No, this was a spirit that was moved in me when the golf thing was changed on Google, and the president of Mexico said, you're going to sit there and sue Google for it. So you thought that the white man was just against the black man. And so you came over, and I want to say two things. You thought the white man was against the black man, and the white man gives you the green card, the resident alien card. And so therefore, in order to sit there and make good, you got to sit there and also be against the black man. If you watch what happened in the 70s, put the man out the house. Sisters, You thought the problem was the black man. So you sat there and spiritually and then physically, I'm speaking in general, separated, put them on the couch. You find sisters leaving their husbands at the airport if they ain't enough room. And she ain't, quote, in many cases, standing by her man, like, let him go. I got this. We're doing it on our own. I'll be the mother and father. I know sisters who sat there and compliment other sisters saying Happy Father's Day. That's wild. You understand? So these are things, generational curses, if you will. But you got to recognize the white woman lesbian liberation movement with Barbara and Nancy did not include Shaniqua, Ayanna, and Keisha. When they had, again, the woman liberation movement, which was an anti-man movement, which was misogynistic. Misogynistic is the hatred of women. Misogynistic is the hatred of males. That's what that was about. You understand? See, they didn't tell you in closing out that the man being out the house is going to produce sons that are out of control. You understand? When they did an experiment with elephants, they had the one raised with the father and one without. The one without was more rowdy. The one without was more unruly, as opposed to the one that was raised by, say, dad in the house. The paycheck became the father. The breadwinner became the person like Trump is in many people's eyes. So when you can go back, if we look at this here, and see the African, which will include us, Black Americans, quote unquote, West Indians, if you will, Morenos, if you will, at the bottom of the chart, it's not surprising that such is done. This is the caste system. You can look this up in Mexico. So you can't, again, brothers and sisters, in closing out, you can't fake love. You can't fake love with your African crown on. You can't fake love when you're sitting up there exposing, maybe you didn't realize it. We're strong people, but now you got a contender, this guy here. Mr. Lopez, what do you got to say to this guy here that's saying that we want to put a tariff on you and make you pay to build the wall? And I don't care if I don't know geography. I'm going to build a wall that includes part of the United States because I don't know that New Mexico is part of the United States. When the comedian said last year that Puerto Rico is a piece of garbage floating in the water, do you remember that? Or did you think, my Cuban friend, that he was only talking about Boricuas? Did you sit there, my Mexicano hermano and friend, separate yourself from the Puerto Ricans that were called a piece of garbage floating in the water? And then Trump's like, I don't know. Did Rubio, who is a Cuban, to my knowledge, did be like, what? I'm not familiar. So we started off and not trying to be disrespectful with this lady here. And look at this here. All that butt kissing, and none of them got jobs in the Trump administration. Senators, congressmen, leaders. Vance, the vice president, everything is Elon Musk. That's ridiculous. After slavery, you had black politicians like Robert Smalls, who not trying to compare person to person. When one of these guys that's shown right here on the top right is talking about the price of groceries and it is still high. Negro, black men and women, we don't need eggs all the time. We already have health problems with our heart, and eggs have cholesterol. Eggs is what made Kamala lost? Or was it because it's a misogynistic society? We already seen Trump do what he did, and wouldn't give another person a chance. And to show you how deep it is, her swirling because her husband is not either East Indian or black, which Kamala Harris jumped between being East Indian at one point, black at another point, black Indian at another point, meaning not black indigenous Indian to the Americas, but East Indian and also black, because you're passing for both with your swirling husband who's Jewish, and you still didn't win. The point essentially in this presentation is to show that we as a people have to come together. When I say we as a people, I am talking about the first person who comes to your mind when you hear that. Whenever or whoever you hear, when we as a people come to mind, that's what I'm talking about. We as a people have to come together. When you hear that, who I'm talking about is whom you're thinking of. Whom you're thinking of is who I'm talking about. There essentially is no one who is on our side, and not being on our own side is not good. No one is worrying about being called racist. There are pizza places, like in New York, which were exposed for such. The matter of swirling and other matters of kissing up to some or any does not work. Be your own self. Be your own. There are black people who do have land and grow crops themselves. You didn't have to sit there and vote for this man to sit there and think that he's going to bring the prices of things down. He's not doing well by the farmers, and they're talking about it. So, brothers and sisters, I believe if a black man cannot stand being called a brother, or a black woman cannot stand being called a sister, that's the litmus to find out what it is. We've gone over this, and we need not be redundant, brothers and sisters. You understand? So the sister wrote eggs are $19.99. I don't know where that is, but eggs are not $19.99 in New York that I've seen. That's wild if it is. I take your word for it. So that's what we want to point out. Have your own. In Philadelphia, you're saying that the price of eggs is $19.99. In New York, they vary at this point from like towards $6.50 up to maybe $13 that I've seen inside of stores. And that's high. You understand? But they was talking about the prices of things and inflation going up anyway. You know what I mean? So I want to say for the record, I'm not a Trump supporter, and I certainly am not a supporter of a woman like who sits there and says abortion is not bad. Yes, it is, Miss Kamala. Abortion is bad. I am not a supporter of the swirling community, which you do. So I don't want people to be online like, oh, like somebody tried to come at me sideways. Oh, you're supporting that. No, I'm just not in support of somebody who, okay, let's take it like this if we will. John McCain was a Republican. John McCain was a person who did not want Martin Luther King holiday to be a holiday in a place in Arizona where he was a senator. He was a senator. He did not want, John McCain did not want Martin Luther King to be a holiday. Before he died, he wanted Obama to sit there and speak at his funeral. Donald Trump insulted John McCain saying about a person who was caught, I prefer a person who didn't get caught. So when you didn't get caught, when you was a draft dodger, unlike my father who went to Vietnam, may my dad rest in peace, unlike my grandfather who was in World War II, Mr. Trump, you can't hold a candle to my father Frank, nor to my grandfather Luther, one who served in Vietnam and the other who served in World War II for this, quote, said great country. You're not on their level, and they're both deceased. So these are things, again, that we care to sit there and bring out for reference purposes. You understand? We're not going to be redundant. We don't want to be. We want to sit there and know that it is over an hour and a half of the presentation. It's for those who are interested. This is on Mora Yeshaya History Lessons, Mora Yeshaya History Lessons 2 in the Facebook profile, Yeshaya Author Danite. We intend to do more presentations as time goes on, family. Subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. My number is 908-587-4841. We was going to do this earlier, but the static, I don't know, probably was a connection with that particular computer or so at that moment, but that's solved. So happy about that. All right. I'm going to ask people to subscribe to my friend's channel, BTV. I've been on it. She's been on mine. She's interviewed me when my first book dropped, Egypt Talk and Writing. So you got to give respect and props where it is due. You understand? Shout out to BTV for that, interviewing a brother. So you can sit there and subscribe to her channel as well. Subscribe to the channel who helped the brother. I want to shout them out. Maccabees TV, who interviewed me regarding my book, Egypt Talk and Writing, brothers and sisters, and so forth, which we want to show if we will. If you see the book there, Egypt Talk and Writing, you can get that book on Amazon, brothers and sisters. In that particular case, it don't hurt you to sit there and advertise for somebody else. You got some hating people, especially black people. And I'm not the biggest fan, not that he needed me to be, but something Chris Rock said, who's more racist, black people or white people? And this is not to be sad, black people. And everyone's like, what? Because black people don't like black people either. So I say that to say about the kind of matters that we think as a people, to sit there and say, look, boss, I hate N-words too. I's no racist. My name is Clayton Bigsby, if you know about the Dave Chappelle thing. You understand? And it didn't work. Even in the Clayton Bigsby skit that Dave Chappelle did, it didn't work. And I believe the brother was trying to portray that because he divorced his wife in it for, quote, being an N-word lover. I mean, we're talking about a skit, but this is just something to point out, family. You don't find, on the other hand, Hispanics saying there should not be a Hispanic Heritage Month. They'll have that. I work at a place, brothers and sisters, where Hispanic Heritage Month, they got Bolivia, Ecuador, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic. They got all of the Hispanic and Latin countries all over the board. We as black people should respectfully take advantage of quote unquote Black History Month. And by the way, Mr. Trump, we didn't need you to sit there and tell us that again. And I give you the permission to sit there. No, Mr. Trump, who don't know enough black history to sit back and think in your first term that you talked to the great gentleman, Frederick Douglass. You thought the man was still alive. Did you know that? Did you know that the man sat there and said, end quote, and I spoke to Frederick Douglass. He's a fine gentleman. You can look it up online. The man thought Frederick Douglass, who died, correct me if I'm wrong, in 1904, was still among us and that he can sit there in communications with him. No. The country's going down the tubes. I'm not saying you must repatriate. What I am saying is you must get there and get something done, brothers and sisters. Because you got a person in the White House who has so many felonies that he can't even go to the S-hole countries that he talked about in Africa. See, when you got, heaven forbid, felonies, there's certain places you're not allowed to go. So when he sits there and says, S-word, we're going to keep the language clean here, S-word countries, having felonies, you can't even go to them places. How do you have a president who can't sit there and tour the world in large? I'm not playing prophet. Before the Most High destroys a place, he takes away their wisdom. And giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth, we're going to close out with a song, as we did earlier, and opening up. And subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. Subscribe to the channel BTV, as we see here. And thank you for interviewing me those years ago. And let us get into this here. We want to pull up a song as before. And thank you for that, family. Peace. Subscribe to the channel, 908-587-4841. And Go into the description so you can sit there and see the proofs of what we were talking about in that case. Good night, people.
What? This is how we do it right here, y'all. Yeah. What? For the 2K1. First and foremost, giving honors and praises to the God of our life. Yes, how we out home. This is how we do it. Shari is our car. On the 2K1, y'all. Yeah. Volume 3. Rocking it for Shema Yisrael. The whole Yisrael all over the world. This is how we do it. Bring it on, our car. What?
In my life, I felt the love of God was deep in me. It was deep in me, yeah. He was near, so very close to me. I did not see. But why should I turn away from him when he's my love? Oh, he took me from the ghetto and spoke to me from up above. Oh, yeah, I sold my soul for love. My love is only God. My love for God. My love for God. He is mine. Yahweh, you are mine. My love will only shine for you. Oh, I said every time I turned away from him, he chastised me. Chastised me. Oh, yeah. He said, look, here's our car. Won't you do what's right? And follow me. And things look good, and my life is fine. So why should I? He said the earth will be yours, and the fullness thereof shall be thine. Ooh, yeah. I sold my soul for love. My love is only God. Woo. He is mine. Yahweh, you are mine. Yes, you are. My love will only shine for you. I love you unconditionally. Can't you see? You're the savior of the world, but to me, you're my IV. Oh yeah, my soul is yours. My love is yours forever. I said with my heart, I will follow you forever. Ooh, yeah. I sold my soul for love. My love is only God. It's only God. He is mine. Yahweh, you are mine. My love will only shine for you. Love will only shine for you. I've been seen up in my hand. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. This here day. God. This is Kaya, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Father. This is Kaya, yeah.
Giving thanks to your home.
It's all about you.
You let us know that we are Israelites. And I can see over and over how we molded and guided our life. Giving thanks to your home. 'Cause we can never thank thee enough. never knew that he loved us so much. Moshe was a great and mighty prophet. He set the standards for the prophet to come. A godly man, a strong and humble leader. His place and time can never be undone. Oh, give thanks, thanks to your.
I said it's all about you.
He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how he molded and guided our life. Give thanks, thanks to your hope, 'cause we can never thank thee enough. I can believe that we got the children. I never knew that he loved us so much. So we will praise you, Jehovah, 'cause there is none that is like unto thee. So you're the one who made our lives bolder. You're the one who gave us life and the lasting legacy. And oh, give it thanks, thanks to Jehovah. He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how he molded and guided our life. Give it thanks, thanks to you. 'Cause we can never thank thee enough. I can believe that we got his children. I never knew that he loved us so much. Moshe was a great and mighty prophet. He set the standard for the prophet to come. A godly man, a strong humble leader. His place and time can never be undone. Oh, give it thanks, thanks to your hope.
All about you.
He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how he molded and guided our lives. Give thanks to your hope, 'cause we can never thank thee enough. I can believe that we are his children. I never knew that he loved us so much. So we will praise you, Jehovah, 'cause there is none that is like unto thee. So you're the one who made us bolder. You're the one who gave us life and the lasting legacy. Oh,
I said
give it thanks, thanks to your
I
hope.
said it's all about you.
He let us know that we are Israelites, and I can see over and over how you molded and guided our life. Give it thanks, thanks to your hope, 'cause we can never thank you enough. I can believe that we got his children. I never knew that he loved us so much. Give it thanks,
Oh yeah,
give it thanks.
yeah.
Subscribe to the channel, family. Thank you for participating. This is your brother and friend, Yeshaya Israel. More than Yeshaya history lessons. It feels in a different spirit, having dropped the profanity and still trying to get one point across, or one's point across. We hope and pray everybody is well and will be better. My number again, 908-587-4841. All right, we intend to have more history presentations in commemoration, if you will, of, quote, Black History Month, which we know we cannot confine in a month, but let's do what we do. All right, be well, love one another, Most High bless. Peace to you all.